No, in my way, when I was young, I do remember there were a lot of drinkers who were known to be good writers. A lot of the great writers when I was a kid, the names like William Faulkner was a big drinker, and F. Scott Fitzgerald, who was one of my favorite writers when I was a young man and reading fiction for the first time, was a notorious drinker, and his wife, and then the whole. There was a celebration of alcoholism almost within the creative arts. And also, even in journalism, I remember my first time in the city room of the New York Times. I remember one time, one job I had was working late on what they call the rewrite desk. I was where you're in a rewrite bank of typewriters, and people call in information. Well, some of those rewrite men, excuse me, some of them were so drunk. One time I saw a man whose head fell on his typewriter. This is the center of the New York Times, and he was just out from the drinking. He had a bottle in his drawer. I remember when I was a sports writer, one of the jobs I had in my early career was working in the sports department. One time I was sent out to Arizona to cover the New York Giants baseball team on the year it moved from New York to San Francisco to become the San Francisco Giants. They trained in Tucson or Phoenix, Arizona. I think it was it. And I remember I met sports writers from other newspapers, and there was a sports writer for the New York News and a sports writer for the New York Mirror, which used to be a tabloid in New York. And these two guys who covered the New York Giants, and I was doing it for the New York Times, these two guys were pals, and one of them was a heavy drinker, a big drinker. His name is Jim McCullough. And the guy that is pal from the Mirror is named Kent Smith. Kent Smith, because McCullough always get drunk before the game was over, would write both stories. He would write a story for the New York Mirror, and then he would write under the name Jim McCullough another story to cover up for his friend. His friend was never he was never sober enough to get into the game to write what happened. I mean, this was incredible. I couldn't believe that this is a journalism, the journalism that abounded in my time, and the presence of alcohol that was part of it. There's nothing like that today. City room in those days when it was full of smokers. The whole room was full of smoke. And drinking, they think that now there's a big series on television called Mad Men, about the advertising agency life of the 1960s and 70s. The drinking went on in journalism was beyond that. Lunches at, it was drunken people all over. It's a wonder the paper could ever get out. There were enough sober people, at least for every issue, to get a paper out, but another half of the staff was out of it.